Hi, this is Victoria Nalule, and here with me is Mr. Koby from Ghana. Today's discussion will focus more on the mining sector of Ghana, and Mr. Koby will be taking us through the brief overview of mining in Ghana and also the challenges and opportunities and what should be done to ensure that the mining sector benefits majority of the people in Ghana. Mr. Koby, would you like to first introduce yourself?
Thank you, Victoria. I'm Kwabena Mensah from Ghana. I am a geoscientist by profession. I am currently a PhD candidate here at the Center for Energy, Petroleum, Mineral Law and Policy in the University of Dundee. In private life, I run a private consultancy called Calm Associates. That's a consultancy that offers advisory services to the mineral sector across Africa, based in West Africa for now, but we're looking at the East African market. My background, as I have said, has been in the mining sector. I have started from the mines of Obuasi goldfields. I've evolved as a geologist, as a project manager, and now run the consultancy firm that offers services across Africa. I am currently a member of SPE, the Australian Institute of Metallurgists in Metal. I am also a member of the Chatham House, and I believe in advocacy for good mineral governance for the developing world, and I speak very passionately on these issues.
Wow, thank you very much, Koby, for the introduction. He's really very experienced in the mining sector, not only in West Africa, but also other parts of the world, because he has worked with different institutions. Definitely, Koby is the right person to take us through mining in Ghana, because Ghana is one of the countries that is very rich in mineral resources. So not everyone knows how rich Ghana is when it comes to minerals. Could you please give us a brief overview of mining in Ghana?
Okay, thank you. Well, Ghana, by her geological landscape, is 1/3 lain by the prospective Birimian greenstones. These greenstone rocks are known to be very mineral rich and consequently give Ghana a lot of minerals, including gold, diamonds, bauxite, manganese, and more recently hydrocarbons. Other metals or minerals that are worth mentioning is kaolin, limestone, and other industrial minerals. Mining in Ghana has predated our independence, and gold, for example, that I mentioned, has been mined for more than a century now from Obuasi, one of the world's leading gold mines, very, very comparable to the Wits belt in South Africa. And other minerals like bauxite and manganese are being mined actively in Ghana now. Ghana is currently the 10th leading producer of gold in the world, second behind South Africa in Africa. And last year, in 2017, we produced 102 tons of gold, which makes us 10th in the world, behind China, the leading one that has produced 426 tons last year, and better than Mali and Burkina Faso combined, who have produced 50 tons each in the last year. So yes, Ghana is prospective for gold, but has other minerals that we need to talk about later.
All right, and I know, as you've mentioned, that there are vast minerals in Ghana. So what are the challenges and opportunities? Because I know most African countries, we have the minerals, but we face challenges maybe when it comes to the companies that are operating in the country. Most of them, they just take out the minerals. You find the communities where the minerals are being mined from, the communities are not benefiting anything. Some companies dodge taxes, they do not pay the taxes they're supposed to be paying. And then also you find in other countries, the minerals have led to wars. So it ends up like being a situation where people are dying because of the resources they have in the country. And also other countries, it's mostly corruption, not only on the part of government officials, but also on the part of mining companies. So what is the situation in Ghana when it comes to challenges?
Well, I'll answer your question the other way
Yes.
around. the way out or the way forward for mining in Africa is basically to get beyond some of the challenges. The main challenges being infrastructure and efficiencies, access to capital, technology, power, and of course the social license to operate. These are the challenges that most African countries have to bear when it comes to developing their mineral sector. And we quickly need to move out of the dependence, the enclave nature of mining, towards linkages, linking the mining sector to other sectors of the economy. That is the solution, really, but it's not as easy as it said. The first way will be to enact policies and actually implement and monitor these policies that will work. They look good in our books. Most of these countries have learned from countries like Ghana and have got these policies in place. The problem has been the implementation, and that is where we probably need to look at first.
All right. Thank you very much. You've actually analyzed the challenges and also given the solutions. That was going to be my next question. What should be the way forward? But you've addressed that very well. We need infrastructure. That's something we've been struggling with for centuries and centuries. Recently, I was reading, I was enlightening myself more about the history of mining, how it started in Africa, how it's linked to colonialism, how the mining companies from developed countries, their governments and banks, how they got into a partnership to ensure that they utilize these resources. The resources have been exploited for a very, very long time. But up to now, we are still struggling with the same issues of infrastructure, of community benefit, and so on and so forth. So like you've mentioned, it's very key for African countries to concentrate more on the infrastructure development and also to implement whatever laws and strategies we have in our books. It's not about us having it on paper, but implementation is very key. And are there other things you would like to highlight when it comes to mining?
Well, I'll go back to your point about building infrastructure and perhaps the best way to do it well. And I'll tell you a way Ghana has done it, so that we could all learn from it. The current government has intensified an efforts to have an integrated bauxite industry, such that our raw bauxite is no longer going to be exported in a raw form. It's going to be transformed into alumina, and then further on into alumina at the smelter that we already have. We're calling this the Integrated Bauxite Alumina Bill or law or project, and the bill has been passed. We have just signed an MOU with Sino-Hydro of China in a barter transaction where these bauxite of ours will be converted to alumina in country, and you can imagine the linkages that will bring about, that will come about from this. We further on will convert the alumina into aluminium products to be used in country, and then the rest to be exported. By this, we were asking from China infrastructure to a tune of 2 billion and more. So we have projects, key projects that matter to the government that will transform the lives of Ghanaians that have been locked in with this deal. So it's not a loan that is going to sit on the government debts. It's a better deal where we will get the infrastructure that we need to open up the economy in exchange for bauxite deposits that we have in abundance. This is something that works very well. This is something that African countries should look at. But of course, we need to pay very much due diligence to how the deal goes in every detail of the transaction. Nothing should be left to chance. Every T and I must be dotted. The Chinese are not bringing us gifts. It's a transaction, it's a barter transaction where we will get infrastructure from them and we'll give them our minerals. I think this is one way of unlocking, the mineral deposits and the mineral wealth that Africa has and bring about the transformation that we need.
Actually, you've raised a very good question about the Chinese investments in Africa. We've seen that the Chinese have been investing lots of capital in different sectors in Africa, be it mining, be it energy, oil, gas, and other sectors. And this has raised lots of questions amongst other developed countries, especially from the West. So what's your say? Do you think African countries are right to deal with the Chinese when it comes to the exploitation of our resources, or we're better off dealing with the Western countries, European countries? Because before I even say that, I'll just note that for decades and decades, we've had many companies from Europe, US, and the UK investing in the mining sector of Africa. But then you find that they haven't left anything behind, you know? They haven't left anything behind. Yes, the minerals will be there. They'll get into some infrastructure development, maybe railways, but it will be a small railway from here to there, you know, just to ensure that the resources are here, we're getting them from here, and we're taking them here. But then we're seeing Chinese coming up with all these deals, and many people are concerned. Is there something you would like to highlight about the Chinese investments in the mining sector, specifically in African countries?
Well, thank you, Victoria. I think the attention is in the detail.
Yes.
It is what we actually negotiate and enforce in the transactions with these Chinese that's going to make the difference. The Europeans, if I can say, or the Westerners have been here for long and have been happy enough to serve the infrastructure or to build the infrastructure around the mines and make them an enclave institution in itself. What we should have gone further to do was to insist on infra share, where the economies can plug into these infrastructure and use for other uses that benefit the nations. And probably that is what we have to do going forward. Yeah. With regard to the Chinese, we just have to pay attention to what we actually sign on and what we get out of the deals. I do not see anything wrong with exchanging infrastructure for minerals, especially if we're going to add value to it in the country. That is what we have failed to do, and that is what they are bringing to us now. It will be very, very good to look at it carefully and to make sure we sign on good deals with these Chinese if they are going to bring this infrastructure that we so very much need.
Yes. So in summary, we have to learn from our past mistakes. We have to pay attention, as he has mentioned. We have to look into details. It's not a matter of someone exchanging, giving you bread and then you give them gold. No, we have to pay more attention as African countries. We have to learn from our past mistakes, and we have to make sure that the resources benefit our people, because it's one thing to have the resources and then you have lots of people below the poverty line. It's not acceptable in the 21st century. We have to be more vigilant. That's what I would say. Anything else you would like to highlight before I ask for your advice?
One thing that I would like to highlight is some of the other things that Ghana has done right.
Yes.
And that could be things that we're emulating. We have been transparent as much as possible with our mineral sector. We are very much compliant to EITI regulations, and we have made sure that mineral companies that are operating open up their books for auditing by the Environmental Protection Agency. We actually have a unique local rating called the Kwabena, where environmental and HSE standards from each of the mines are ranked on a yearly basis. So it makes it competitive, and it makes best practice more and more likely to be enforced. We have also converted our community social development programs into active ones, like what Newmont has, where they take $1 per ounce produced or $1 per profit as seed money for development for the communities. There's a lot more of a social license to operate approach to our mining that will make it sustainable. Our mineral policy, for example, has evolved from the PNDC law 1986, which was just looking at bringing in investment, to one that looks at sustainable development. Yes. And it transcends every sector of the existing mining sector. What we probably need to do is to open up the economy, diversify our mineral base, not look only at the traditional minerals of gold, bauxite, and manganese, but look at the other ones. Salts, we have a lot of salt deposits. And then, as we have done with the bauxite, look at forming an integrated mineral industry that converts the raw material to products and services that can transfer to other sectors of the economy. That is the way to go. That is what will bring that critical mass of growth that will lift Africa out of its poverty and underdevelopment.
Thank you very much, Koby, and well done to Ghana. It's a very good example other African countries can learn from when it comes to the mining sector. So moving forward, we have many young Africans out there who would like to hear from you, who would like advice from you, because many people have lost it, when it comes, when I look back to maybe my country and other African countries. We have the youth who are unemployed. We have the youth who do not know which path to take. We have the youth who keep contacting us on the way forward. They want to be mentored. And I'm blessed, or we are blessed, to have you here because you are experienced in this sector. And I'm sure you can give advice to the young Africans out there who would want a message of hope.
Well, the mineral industry currently baffles with a perception that it's non-economic, socially and environmentally non-compliant and not sustainable. That has to be erased. I think the first steps in doing that is to bring out that paradigm shift that moves from just mere mining for mining's sake into sustainable mining. And one global agenda that is making this happen is the SDGs. We have to link the development of our mining sectors to a total, development of our various countries and the global landscape. And then in that, we have to carry everybody along, especially our youth. The game changer will be SDG 4, which looks at education. We have to tag in and link education specifically to our mineral development, so that more and more people are moved out of employment, non-employment and poverty into middle-class people that will be able to do more for themselves and have more hopes. We need professionals, and technocrats from among our youth to help make this possible. So they shouldn't lose hope. They should have faith in the extractives, but to make sure that they are in line with the development agenda of the country. And I hope this will help them buy into our vision.
Yes. I'm sure that will help very much. Thank you very much, Koby. For those who would like to contact you, how can they get to you? Your email address? I'll definitely write it down.
My personal email address is simple. It's Koby, Kobbi at myself.com. That you can reach me on that anytime. And you can reach me on karma@geologist.com as well. That's the consultancy email, but I can be reached everywhere in the world on my private email. Then we can take it on from there, whatever discussions.
All right. And are you available for consultancies for those who would like to contact you when it comes to consultancies?
Certainly. Why not? I mean, it's collaborative work with people out there that will make some of our visions get carried on.
All right. Thank you very much, Koby, and thank you very much, our viewers. Do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'll be bringing you more guests from different African countries, and we'll be discussing about issues relating to energy and mining in Africa. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.